So we will actually be live on YouTube this time.
I might go to your channel to be in the chat.
Yeah, just mute the sound if you do. You can go to my channel. We're live right now, according to this. And all you got to do is just mute the volume. And now see, it's just sort of sitting there. Yes, sirree. And I give it a minute. People show up as soon as they realize I'm here. I did a long video today. I made a long video. And it was on basically what I wanted to do was break down and show people the history of how they've divided the genders and how come women hate men and where we're at. And I was trying to make it as short as possible. It still wound up an hour and a half long. uh,
Yeah.
but I wanted to put it in a light that even the people that ain't awake to what's going on around them in the manosphere, that they could actually see. It's sort of like drawing, connecting the dots. If you connect the dots when you're done, you got a picture. So
Yeah.
that's the way I laid it out so that by the time they get to the end, they would have a picture so that they could understand and see why women hate men. By the way, yeah, we're
Yeah.
live, and yes, I'm here with Peter again. Happy to be with Peter, always am. Peter's a very smart man. I like him. He's a good friend, and yeah, I don't think Peter's gonna argue with me. What do you think, Peter? Do you think women hate men?
I think undoubtedly. I've just got the live chat up here as well. I mean, the women have always put themselves first, and they just see men as uh, somewhat useful idiots for the women. Remember, I did a story in my first book. I did this story called "The Woolly Mammoth," right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I told that, I had this Czech girlfriend at the time, and when I told her that story, she just went, "You are so cynical." I said, "Yeah, but I'm right." And she said, "Yeah, you're right." But we'll go through that story in a little bit. But right through time, women have been out for themselves, and they just use the men for what it is that they want and need. That's basically
Right.
what it is.
You're the ATM machine. You're the useless. I mean, and the sad thing is thanks to social engineering adding on to this, you do have a percentage, and anymore it's getting worse. So you have like 20% anymore. I want to say it's 15 or 10% of the women chasing after this low percentage of men. So you got,
Mm.
what do you got? 90%, 85% of the women chasing after 10% of the men, 15% of the men,
Yeah,
and
it's something
that's in
it's
and around that area.
yeah, it's somewhere between 80 and 90%, chasing somewhere between 10 and 20%, right?
Yeah, it's
Because
somewhere in that area.
you've got these women who they want the guy 6 foot tall, six pack, six figure income. They want that guy, and that's only a very small percentage. And
Exactly.
what are they bringing to the party? They're not bringing much to the party.
Well, I
So
think the last time I looked, what they brought to the party is the same thing every other woman offers, and that's what's between their legs.
yeah, I mean that's right. They're not offering to cook and clean and keep house and take care of you and raise your kids and all the rest of it. They're
Oh,
not
and be
offering that
honest
anymore.
and be honest and faithful with you. What they're
Yeah,
offering to do is you do as I say, or I'll go to my next choice.
yeah. You'll do what I say. Otherwise, I'd call the police, get you kicked out of your own house, and get 50% of your future income and screw your life up. And I just move on, and everyone will support me because I'm a woman and you're a man. Everyone supports me, and no one will support you. That's
That's
how that works.
that's exactly how it works. Okay? And when you think because you got a woman in your life and maybe you're married, maybe you got couples that are together and you and your wife go out and visit your married couple friend and you go out and have a holiday together and you hang out together. You have cookouts together and all that. But don't worry. Once your wife's decided that You're the hamburger wrapper. She's through using you now and
Yep.
tosses you away. All of your so-called friends, you'll find out they're on her side, not yours.
Yeah, I mean, this is why so many guys commit suicide. It comes as quite a shock. I mean, for your audience, I don't know how many of them know my story, but my story is standard. It's absolutely standard. And I grew up relatively poor in a small country town. My dad worked at the local council and did the best he could. He left school at 14, and his first job was digging holes for fence posts. And then he got upgraded to mail boy in the local council, where at least it was an inside job. So he wasn't a wealthy man by any stretch of the imagination. When he was young, he had three jobs. Had three young kids. My parents married when he was 21 and my mum was 19, and by the time my dad was 25, he had three small kids. So that's hard work back in those days.
Oh
And
yeah.
I went from there all the way up to my last year before divorce. I made 340,000 US dollars, right, in income, and that's a fairly good salary. That's a fairly good amount of revenue, right, for one guy,
Yeah.
300, 340 grand. But and raised her two kids, stepkids, etc. But apparently that's not good enough yet, and so she was lying and stealing and carrying on, and I just had enough. And so I said, "That's it. We're getting divorced. We've had enough." And even when you make clear to everyone this is the woman's fault, and in Jennifer's case, she even begged me to take it back again, and I said no. And I'm saying this is the woman's fault. She has been a bad wife for years and years and years, and I'm fed up with it. And that's it. We're done now. And everybody sides with the woman. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
okay, everyone
She
sides with the woman. Fine. Let's see how that works out, right?
and that's
And
what they do. And then
and that's what everyone does. Everyone.
you go to court. What happens? Oh well, Peter. I hate to break the bad news to you, but the last time we looked, you got a penis between your legs, so that means you're at fault. Even if you're not at fault, you're at fault.
Yep. Yep. That means we'll sell your house. We'll give her 95% of the proceeds, and screw you. And if you complain about it, well, then we'll slander you and destroy your ability to earn your income in the future.
That's
That's
it.
what's
And
that's what's
then
done.
and then we
And
will still expect money out of you after
yeah,
we destroy your income.
yeah. And so for many men, it comes as a really big surprise that their friends turn on them like that, and that their children get turned on them, and all this, and they go, well, I think I'll just go kill myself now. Now what's happening is a few men are deciding, well, I'm not just going to kill myself. I'm going to
I'm
kill the
gonna
wife and
take my
kids
wife
before
and
I
kids
kill
with
myself.
me. Yeah, I've said that's why I got a lot of criticism. I got a lot of heat for this, but I did. I told people straight up. I said, "You are so smart that you have figured out how to create your very own killer."
Yeah. Many women have turned their own husbands from someone who would literally fight and die to protect them to somebody who's going to kill them. Some women are doing that. And how abusive do you have to be? And, the question of the topic tonight is how evil are women?
Yeah,
How evil, literally, how evil do you have to be that you will abuse a man to the point who loves you, who would protect you, to the
that's
point
it.
where he says, oh, I'm going to kill you. Now I'm going to kill you, right?
Oh,
You have to,
that's exactly it. It's exactly it. You
you
know,
have to, you have to be a deeply evil person to push that long and that hard because most men, the vast majority of men are very, very tolerant of the woman that they love. They will let the woman that they love get away with pretty much anything.
pretty. Yeah, that's it. That pretty much anything and everything goes. And
They'll let it go. They'll let it go. They'll let it go. They'll let it go. And if she keeps going, to the point where he's willing to kill her, that's just pure evil. It's just really, really nasty.
Well, it
Really,
is, and and
nasty.
it'll still be for her, for her.
Oh yeah, she'll pretend to be surprised and she'll play the victim,
Yep.
but
What a monster he is, right?
but this is how bad they are, and they know it. A lot of people used to say to me about Jennifer, it's like, you know, didn't you talk to her about this? Didn't you explain to her what she's doing, etc.? I said, oh yeah, my wife knew exactly what she was doing. Well, there's a famous story we have where she was doing the Landmark Forum again in London in 2007, in May 2007, right?
Hmm.
And you just talk to the people next to you about life, the universe, and everything. And the guy, and you don't know who you're sitting, you don't know the person sitting next to you. You just happen to sit next to them, right? So the guy sitting next to her says says to her, "Your husband must love you something fierce." She says, "Why would you say that?" He says, "Because you, madam, are a complete bitch." And she's like, and she gets it. Like, this guy's got no agenda, right? She's just talking about how she relates to me, and this guy just says, "You're a complete bitch." And this is what you're prepared to say to me. I'm a stranger. I don't even know you. We're just having this discussion in the forum, and even I can tell you're a complete bitch. And you're probably putting the good looking spin on it, right?
Yeah.
And she rings me up and she tells me this. And I said, "Yeah, you have been a complete bitch since our second baby, Joshua, was born. It's like somebody waved the magic wand. You've got your quota of kids now, and now the real woman comes out.
Oh yeah.
And
And
that's how it works."
isn't it? I find this funny how our society's become so diluted. Okay, that the women actually believe they've had this kid, that it's not the guy's kid.
No,
It's
it's
her
their
kid.
kid. Yeah,
It's her
it's
kid.
their kid.
She could
Yeah,
never have had it without you. But see, that don't count, Peter, because
yeah,
somehow, magically, you owe that to her because you somehow magically just owe it to her because you got a penis.
yeah. It's her kid, but you have to pay for it. That's exactly the way that they view it. You get talk to women about child support, right? And women will tell you, "Oh, child support is mandatory. You have to pay it. You volunteered to pay it when you had sex. That's it. End of story." That's the attitude you'll get from 100% of women. You'll never get anything different.
Although they hate it, because over here now it used to be you never saw any guy ever get child support, but they have changed that up a little bit. And there are some women who did not get custody that they go after child support from, like my ex. Okay, she got
Yeah.
chased down for child support. She did a little bit of time behind bars for being a deadbeat mother. Okay, okay, and so and I didn't ask for the child support, but the government over here has it all worked out. If I declined child support and I fell on hard times, my son would be not covered for any kind of medical through the government.
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, you cannot decline it. You have to accept it so that they can use that to get their money back if ever needed. So they go
Yeah.
after her. She, like I said, she did a little couple of times behind bars, a little bit for being the deadbeat mom. Okay.
That's fantastic. That's
Okay.
fantastic.
Yep. She did pay it off, but I find it funny because I look at the reality as it is, and I haven't talked to her in years. Right? It's been years now, and the last time I knew when my son turned 18, I knew this way ahead of time that she was going to come out of nowhere and try to get a hold of me because he was almost 18. And so she goes up on her, who's now her other ex's Facebook page just before Jason turned 18 and sends me a PM saying she needs to talk to me. So then I sent her a PM back and says, I spent years trying to talk to you and work things out. You didn't want anything to do with it. Now guess what? I don't want anything to do with it. And and she had the audacity to say congratulations on who I'm with. And I says, and anybody else told me congratulations, I told them thank you. But when you tell me congratulations, I say fuck you. Okay, this is what I told her. And
Yeah.
then I didn't talk to her again, right? And so here, about a month, maybe a month and a half ago, I decided since I got the emphysema, and I'm still smoking hot, okay. But anyhow, and I know my heart issues with the small veins. I know my years are numbered, right? So I says, okay. Now I understand when my son moved out of my house a little over a year ago, and he went to Wyoming. He was like 38 miles away from his mother, okay?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
even went with his friends to the town his mother's in. He never once looked her up, didn't look for her or anything, right? And when he fell on a
Yeah.
hard time and needed a place to go because it didn't work out, he called me up, who was about 1,000 miles away from him, and his mother was 38 miles away from him, and wanted me to come and get him, okay? So I come and got him, right? So I decided, okay, I'll reach out at her and I'll give her one shot to make it up with her son. Because when I die, you know, then he still, if she can, but she's the one that done this, right? So
Mm.
I reached out, got a hold of her, and she wasted no time. She called me the same day that she got her number. She wasted no time calling me. And then she started off with a lie. Would you expect her to be honest? Hell no. It's time to
No.
play the game and start the manipulation tactics. And so by the time that phone call was over, she called like 4 more times. On the second call, on first call, I called her line right off the bat, right? Second call, it stood out by her actions that she still hated my guts. Okay? So, of course, I called her on it. And of course, she firmly denied it. Oh no,
Yeah.
I don't hate you. I have no grudges against you. Blah 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 blah. Right.
Yep.
So
Blah blah
that's on
blah.
the yep on the second call. But on the third call, her actions confirmed exactly what I knew. See what she done. By the second call, she decided that my son, her son that she threw in the landfill, you know, that
Yep.
child she threw in the landfill. Okay,
Yep.
when she realized that he was 38 miles away from her and even went to her town and didn't look for her, she wasn't too happy about that. Okay? Then
Yep.
she decided, she says to me, I'm going to write him a letter and read it to him over the phone. And I says, you are? She says, yeah. And I says, well, first off, you got to have his number. And I'm not giving you his phone number unless he tells me again. Okay? So I asked him, I said, Jason, do you want your mother, blah, blah, blah? And Jason says to me, oh. Now, Jason's assumption was she was going to come back into our life, as in me and him, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
says, well, then she would be on a very, very, very short rope. I absolutely don't trust her. And I said, do you want her to have your number? He says, hell no. Don't give her my phone number. I says, that's fine, right? So then I told her she's upset about this, right? And so when she called again, I says to her, well, Jason not only don't want you to have his phone number, okay, you'd be on a short rope. But then I explained to Jason, I says to Jason before she called me, Jason, he says, what? And I says, I know you said she would be on a very, very short rope if she came back into our life. He says, yeah. I says, I don't think she's tending on coming back into our life. I think she's tending on she would try to come into your life, not our life, as if she would
Yeah.
try to move somewhere close enough to come over and maybe grab you and go somewhere or do something. And Jason says to me, oh, well, then she'll be a very disappointed person because I don't have no intentions of going anywhere with her. I don't want to associate
Yeah.
with her. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is right from the sun, she threw away. So then her answer to that was, oh, see, she's got another child by the other guy. So she says, oh, so now it's Anthony's fault. She's blaming her other child. So now Jason's blaming Anthony. So that's why blah blah. And I says, what the hell are you talking about? Have you just lost your mind?
They make this shit up all the time. It's obviously somebody else's fault. It's it's
Yeah,
not her. It's not her fault.
it couldn't be her fault, right? You
No,
know,
no,
and
it couldn't possibly be her
I
fault.
laugh so hard at it because what she's really done is, see, she threw her son away because the reality is, oh, this is a good, another good one. You'll love this. Okay. Now, years ago, when I had left Florida, we were talking, and she had blah 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 led to believe that okay, she wasn't with the guy she's with no more. Maybe work things out. She put Jason back in her life. Jason was 13 years old. I told Jason this, and so upon leaving Florida, it was all a joke because she was using me to get to her mom's. And
Mm.
this, she had no intentions of. Well, Jason saw with his own eyes what his mom was doing and how she treated me and what she was doing. And before that time, Jason would go spend a week or two with his mother in the summer.
Yeah.
Now Jason don't want anything to do with his mother because when he heard his mother was coming back into his life, tears came down his face, and he says to me, "It's about fucking time. She never belonged with that fucking blee 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 to begin with, right?" So his mother did the opposite. So now Jason totally disowns her. So you know what she said to me on the phone? I should have never have told Jason that she was coming back. She's the one that lied. I was supposed to not tell Jason about her lie so that he wouldn't be mad at her now.
Yep. It's always somebody else's fault.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I told her,
It's
well,
a,
you know, my brother and I were talking. He says, I think about the only way that she's going to ever stand a chance of getting on Jason's good side again would be to literally live in the same house with me and him. Okay? And my brother says, yeah, it still take a long time, but that's probably about the only way. And I says, yep, and we know that ain't happening, right?
yeah, that's
Okay,
never happening. That's never
exactly.
happening.
And then she said, so she says to me, I told her, I says, about the only way I could see you ever fixing this would be to live in the same house with me and him. And that ain't happening. Okay? And so then she just ignored I said that ain't happening and flipped out and says, oh, you mean I have to live with the same house with you? Okay? Now I was laughing because remember, this is the gal that ain't mad at me. She don't hold
Yeah,
no
yeah.
grudges. Okay? And so I'd have to live in the same house with you, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So she's spazzing out, right? And then, so the last time she called me, and I'm not going to answer to her no more, see? I've already, and I love it because we know what she says to me? I said to her, well, I'm not the one that designed this. You created this problem for yourself. It's not my fault. I said, I don't feel sorry at all. I done the right thing. I gave you a chance to patch it up with your son. I've done my job. I walk away with no guilt. I feel good. I did the right thing. And she got mad at that. And I says, if you ever going to fix it, that's about the only way you could. And first, we'd have to be friends to do that, wouldn't we? And she says, no, we can't be friends. We'll never be friends. Okay? So we can't be friends, but she's not mad at me, Peter.
Yeah, yeah. She doesn't hate you. She doesn't hold a grudge. She's just she just never wants to be your friend and never wants to be around you. She just wants the son back as a maybe an income earner a little later down the track, right?
That's what I figured. She's figuring two heads are better than one. She's got a
Yeah.
son by one guy. Now she has the other son. She takes them both back to support her later on.
Yeah, yeah. When she's old, or even now, I don't know how much she's able to earn now, but for women, the sons are a way to have income in older age. Guilt
Yeah,
them into giving you money. That's what they do. That's what they do.
it is.
It's
It is
it's it's
exactly it.
it's always and only ever about them. It's really pretty
Oh
sad.
yes,
When you look at it, it's pretty sad.
it is. It
I mean,
is.
I was talking. I went out to dinner with a pal of mine the other day, and we were just talking about my stepson who had cancer, Jared, right?
Right.
And he was like, we are just talking about the whole situation, and he's like, so you saved Jared's life by encouraging him by getting through to him to fight for his life against the cancer. And we're like, yeah. And then he uses his bank account to give his mother money to pay lawyers to attack you and lie about you and slander you and shut down your company. I'm like, yep, that's what the young man did. And he's like, that his mother must have been such a bitch to put him in that position. And I said, yeah, I said Jennifer Jennifer knew me since I was 12. She knew that if she could guilt Jared into letting her use his bank account to transfer money, and I found out about it, I would end my relationship with him. She knew that, right?
Right.
And so she guilted him until he did it, and then I found out about it. So I mean, you don't love that boy. Obviously, there's no love in her heart for her son because you wouldn't use him and abuse him like that, knowing the cost that he's going to have to pay for doing it.
Yeah.
That's not love. That is my opinion, just pure evil. It's like I'm going to I'm going to use my relationship, the fact that I'm this boy's mother, I'm going to use that to abuse him. Yeah, wonderful. Just fantastic.
Just a great idea, isn't it?
And I was saying to this pal of mine that she did the same for her daughter Kristen. Kristen, she was constantly emotionally manipulating Kristen all through the time that she was growing up. And I was telling her to stop this. Then when Kristen came and au paired with us in 2002, they were fighting like cats and dogs. And then in divorce, she writes this big sob letter to Kristen about how she's lonely and how upset she is and how the little kiddies would love to see her for Christmas. And she comes over and then she pumps her for money. So when she gets back to, Kristen was living in China at the time, living and working in China. When she went back to China, she's sending money back. So she used her relationship as mother to Kristen to get her to put in money where she had money available to her. The I spoke with the bank. We had a couple of $100,000 equity in the house, right? We had like a $220,000 mortgage on a $700,000 house. It was valued at, right? And so we got nearly $500,000 equity in the house. So I wrote to the bank and said, if we both sign a document, can we give like 50,000 to me, 50,000 to her, and we can fight with our own money? And the bank said, sure, you can take out an extra 100,000 loan. We'll split it 50-50. And Jennifer's like, no, I don't want to do that because I want all the money, right?
That sounds
I
about
want,
right, doesn't it?
I want all the money from the house. I don't want to.
I'm not
I don't want.
splitting anything with you.
I don't want to take out an extra mortgage on the house so I can fight with my own money. So I mean, that's what she did to her son. That's what she did to her daughter. Her father, Bill, is an elderly man, of course, now. And she had him out working in the summer heat, earning money washing cars to earn money to send to her to pay her lawyer's bills. And they sent her 35,000 Australian dollars. They loaned her for her lawyer's bills. Here's a man who was a baker all his life, so being a baker is a pretty tough job. It's a hot, tough job, standing up all day. And he's out at the age of 65 or something, out washing cars in the summer heat in Wagga Wagga to make money to send to his daughter to use for lawyers. That's
That's
not
it.
just bad.
That's
That's
it.
not
That's
that.
that's why it's important. I like when I'm with Peter. I know some of these guys here, they've never had a woman in their life. They're TFLers, and they get upset because they're hearing you talk about what it's like. But you need to really, really think about what's being said here, because I understand you're a man, you're young, you have normal hormones, normal like anybody else, and you want female companionship. Peter and I both totally understand you. We know right where you're at.
Yep.
Okay? But you need to hear this because even if you don't like what you're hearing, the reality is this. TFLers in today's society actually are getting off pretty damn good because you could have a life of living hell and be taken to the cleaners just because you had companionship. Because she
Yeah.
don't love you. She don't love you. She don't like you. She hates you. You are a man. And you're going to say, there ain't no truth to that. That's why I did the video I did. Okay, that is called Hating Man Being, the Gender Bender. Okay? Man hating gender bender. Because that's what it is. Why would women hate men? Well, we have a society that promotes the hatred of men. And that's been
Yep.
going on for years. You have
Yep.
feminist women running a man's rights movement. Okay? Your television set, your music, everything's dedicated to her, and everything smashes the man down. And the majority of immature parents in today's society have raised their kids by the babysitter, the television set. And the television set did a wonderful job of teaching the little boy and girl that were sitting there. The boy that he was a rapist, he was vile, he was a predator, he was this, he was that, and this and that. And the girl that it was poor me, and he's vile, villain, rapist, criminal, he's a monster. He needs a fish like a bicycle. I mean, the whole 9 yards came out. These little girls grow up hearing this message their whole life. Why
Yep.
would they not hate you? They've been taught to hate you from the time they were a little girl, a little kid. Now here you are, 19, 20, 21 years old. I don't understand what I do. What did you do? Nothing. You was born with a penis. Now look at the epidemic of, and I got a kick out of this, Peter. You got the transsexual bullshit going on, and you got these little kids that are being pushed to transition over to a female that are boys, right?
Yep.
And you got a female who did the legwork to find out blah blah blah, and every single child she found that wanted to be a girl that was transitioning between 4 and 7 years old, which shouldn't be happening, the instigator was the mother.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
what does that tell you? Oh no, I got a man. He's a boy. He's gonna be a man. I hate men. I gotta turn him into a girl.
Yep. There's no respect for boys and men anymore. There's just pure hatred
Exactly.
all the way right up and down. And when you see cases, I mean, talking to particularly the younger guys, when you see cases like mine, where it's clear that the man has been a good man, good husband, and all the rest of it, and then they see, well, hang on a minute, how come you've been treated so badly for so long? And it's like, yeah, because everyone hates men. It's
That's
not
it.
it's
You know,
not
I,
just men.
I agreed with Steve Holker because Steve Holker made a statement, and I can't doubt him. He's correct. He says everybody loves women. Women love women. Men love women. He says women hate men and men hate men.
Yeah.
So, and that's a true statement. And like I told Steve, I says, it's sad, but he's so fucking 100% spot on, so accurate with that statement because that is true.
Yeah.
Everybody loves women, everybody hates men. So to be born a man, so if you get some boy that gets a little older and decides I want to be a girl, I guess in some ways you have to say, could you blame him? Everybody hates him.
Yeah. As little boys, they can, they're figuring out at a fairly young age, oh, when I grow up, this is how I'm going to be treated. I don't think I want to be treated like that.
Yeah,
I mean, the boys, the even young boys are seeing how men are treated in society, and they're like, well, that doesn't look very appealing. There are no, there's no men being, there's very few men out in society being treated well. Very few.
in addition, what makes me sick about the manosphere? All of these guys come up here with the same complaints and all these different names that they've given to themselves, whether they're incel, TFL, men going their own way, love shy, whatever, right?
Hmm.
And they all complaining about the same things while they're shitting all over each other and hating each other when the real enemies up there at the pyramid worked their way down and done this to us. So you're gonna hate the victim rather than hate your enemy.
Yep.
And you can't figure out the irony in this that people up the pyramid are laughing their butts off at you.
Yeah. And, men, as much as men say, oh, yeah, the brotherhood and blah, 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 men don't help each other, right?
No, your
They, they,
brother,
they don't.
I mean, when in doubt, and make Mike the Micto Monk. They're great for telling you and calling you brother. I mean, come on, Mike was calling Peter brother, brother. And both of them doing this shit, brother, brother. Well, behind your back, they're sticking you, sticking you, because they're
Yep.
asleep to what's really going on around them, and they're pushing the propaganda and the lies.
Yep. So what's going on. But we're going to see this continue, and it's no wonder that some young boys are going, "Oh, I can become a girl. Oh, well, that sounds like a better deal than being a boy, right?"
Yeah,
And so, and their mothers will be in their ear. And the best example at the moment is this: Charlize Theron has adopted a boy and turned it into a girl, right?
yeah.
That's how crazy this is now. But boys growing up, boys looking at what's going on, and boys growing up, they're seeing how badly men are treated, particularly through the divorce courts. But it's also the false rape allegations, the false sexual harassment allegations. And the women uh, are so full of hatred that they're going after the ability of men to earn their income for almost no reason at all. There was a case in Australia, I can't remember the woman's name. She went to a slut walk with the word slut written across her breasts, right? And some
Yeah.
guy on Facebook said, yeah, that's about right. I think she's a slut. Oh, well, she got him fired from his job because he agreed with what she had written on her chest.
He
That'll
was
get you
he
fired
was
from
he
your job
wasn't
now,
allowed to
right?
agree. See, he's
Yeah.
a guy.
That's
He's
hate speech.
it
That's
is,
hate
yeah.
speech, right?
You
If
know,
I can say something about myself, but if you say the exact same thing that I said about myself, you should lose your ability to earn your income.
right, because you can't say that about
Yeah.
even though I'm
So
saying it about
this is
myself, how dare you repeat it?
yeah, this is the level of hatred. The level of hatred from women directed towards men is extremely, extremely high, and yeah, the men join in. The men join
Oh,
in.
they do. I mean, that's why I get frustrated because Peter, I know this already that you're a woman hater and I'm a woman hater.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Obviously,
that we
yeah.
both have mental issues. Okay, now that being sarcastic because if you want to know the real truth, Peter don't hate women and I don't hate women. What we hate is corruption.
Yeah. the criminal aspect of it and the
Yes.
victimization of people. And you know, you and I spent a lot of time talking about this, and I spent a lot of time putting together jury, trying to put together the jury trial process and all this sort of stuff. And men are like, no, I'm not going to sit on a jury. This is somebody else's problem to sort out. Well, there's millions and millions and millions of men, but it's always somebody else's problem to sort out. So here we are.
Yeah.
The problem is not sorted out, and it's going to get worse yet before it gets any better.
Now we got our newest agent up here, and I do suspect he's probably an agent. And he's got to prove me wrong before I'll change my mind. I did a video on him yesterday, and I called him a treasonous traitor. Okay? He's calling himself Monday, Forever Alone, Monday.
Yeah.
He come out of the woodwork. I mean, I'm seriously, this guy just literally appeared out of the woodwork and supposedly been doing dating videos for 2 years. Well, I've done one hell of a lot of searching on YouTube in the last 2 years, and I don't recall seeing this guy. But he came out of the woodwork, and he's already got 7,000 subs. Okay, but if you really pay attention and watch close and listen close, you're looking at somebody that has a bachelor's degree that has done this type of shit for a living. Now, rumor has it, can't confirm it, but if I get the evidence, I will, that this guy used to work with Alex Jones, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit, okay? But if you really pay attention, what he's doing is he's basically taking you back to the original scenario of problem, reaction, solution, to where it's the man's fault. It doesn't matter if you can't get someone in your life, and he's pushing himself as if he's talking nothing but TFL topics, but he will not bring up TFL at all. He will say it's forever alone, forever alone. So you know what I told people is this, because I see through this BS. See, true forced loneliness, the globalists at the top can't sell that to the public because that suggests social engineering.
Mm.
That suggests other reasons why men can't get somebody in their life. But forever alone, we can promote that because we can sell you evolution, hardwired, just natural, okay? All of the bullshit to sell it, right? So this guy won't bring it up. So the guy I was on here the other day with from the United Kingdom, he's actually impressed me. He's only 21 years old, Peter. But you know what he's doing? He's
No, I
using
didn't see that one.
he's using common sense, which you don't see in today's society. He's using logic and critical thinking skills and seeing through shit himself because he's actually using this. I was so impressed, so I brought him in and we did a show together. And he's pretty smart. For a young man, he's pretty intelligent. Okay? So I give him respect because he's earned it just by doing what he's doing because you just don't find that. So he saw through Monday Forever Alone Monday too, but he decided to be politely. Steve Hoke had made a video towards Monday Forever Alone Monday, asking him to come over and do a live stream with him, right? He's well spoken. He's got a bachelor's degree, most likely. He's professional. He's not like Peter or I. This guy's done this for a living. Okay? So this guy goes over on his channel and leaves a comment, and he was very polite to him. He says, "Are you ever going to do a live stream with Steve Hoka on TFL, which is True Force Loneliness?" So the guy's reply was, "I'm too busy being a New World Order agent and don't have time." Okay? Now, I found that hilarious because Steve Hoke has spent years up here never talking about NWO ever. Matter of fact, that wasn't his topic. He was only talking about dating. And only in the last year, year and a half, Steve Hoke has been talking about social engineering. What's in your face, okay? But not NWO. But me, I've done NWO dating scene. I'm the one that gave the name, okay, to TFL. And I think about it. Well, of course, this guy does his homework before he came online. And just like what Steve and I talked about, this guy literally could have came up here 3 months ago. And he said, no, his channel's been here for 2 years. No, because when you're in bed with the powers to be, they just put whatever date they want your channel to be open.
Hmm.
It's all just pushing keys. They can make you be here 2 years, even if you've only been here 2 months or 2 weeks.
Yep.
They can archive everything. It's just like the flat earthers. Think about it. Peter's been here online way back before flat earthers ever come out. When you first heard of flat earthers and went and looked on YouTube for it, you found hundreds of professionally made documentaries and videos on flat earth. So I'll tell you how they done that. Just like Alex Jones did. Alex Jones worked for Time Warner Brothers. Who's Warner Brothers? Who's Turner? Oh, that's Hollywood. How do you think Alex Jones got his professional documentaries? So you know what they done with Flat Earth? They sat back like at Time Warner and made all these professional documentaries, videos for Flat Earth, archived them, and then one day out of nowhere, they just come up, put it all up, pushed a few keys, wham wham, there it is, and everybody ran with it, went right down the rabbit hole.
Yep. They can manipulate the stats on YouTube however they like and the dates, etc. They got access to all that.
Yeah, that's not hard. So
They,
was Forever Alone Monday? Was he here for the last 2 years talking about Forever Alone? No, I'll guarantee he wasn't. But you're gonna go to his channel. Yeah, it says 2 years. Well, of course it does. Ting 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 ting.
yeah, I've never heard of him, so I'll have to watch that video.
Yeah.
I'll have to go over and have a look, but I've
You-
never heard of him.
And I've done dating scene for a long time, and Steve Oakley, that's all he did. And even Steve said, why would we not know this guy exists if he's been here for 2 years? But you know what? He knew we existed, because think about his comment when he replied, I'm a New World Order agent. Okay, Steve don't do anything on NWO. This guy was nothing but polite and asked him if he was going to do an interview with Steve about True Force Loneliness. For the guy to come back and say, I'm too busy being a New World Order agent. So I'm going to go with what Warren said. That's sort of like, wink, wink. Yes, I'm an agent. Fuck you. And for you people who are sleeping, you'll think he's being sarcastic. And for you people who are waking up to see who he is, he don't care. He's collecting his money.
Yeah, he's getting paid. Sounds like he's getting paid. I don't know the guy, so have no opinion one way or the other. But there's plenty of people out there who are agents, who are just doing it for the money. Either hired by the government to be an agent, like Paul Elam, or you got the Karen Straughns of the world.
I like that. I was just going to say that.
This is just money.
I didn't have to say it. That's right. I didn't have to say it. This is who Forever Alone. If Peter just want to, when we're not doing a live stream, all he's got to do is go on YouTube and type in Monday, capital letter FA, Monday, hit enter, and you'll find him immediately. Okay, he also has a political channel called Monday Blue, where he's siding with Alex Jones.
Right.
Okay? So the guy, but all you got to do is listen to him, and it'll be so in your face. This guy's so professionally cut. He's done this for a living. This is not just somebody that popped up. So he is sort of like, he does remind me of Paul Elam, Karen Stroud. Because he's not going to address the cause. He's only going to address symptoms for money.
Yeah. Making some money, addressing the symptoms, just keeping the problems going. I mean, most of the people online get their money by the perpetuation of the issues, the perpetuation of the problem, not solving the problems.
It's not about solving it.
Solving the problems doesn't make any money. If the
No.
problem, if the like, went way back when I wrote my book and suggested that people get the government out of their marriages and have a marriage contract just between the man and the woman and settle any disputes through a tribunal. I suggested all that back in 2010, and people could do it, but the women don't want to do it because they won't get as much money, and so the women wanted to still keep going and running to the government. So that would solve the problem, right? If people said, okay, we cancel the contract or the alleged contract with the government of the marriage certificate because it's fraudulent, and we say it's fraudulent, so we cancel that, and then we have a new marriage contract that we can agree to, and we can have a process to solve it, any disputes. That's all fine. Problem solved. Okay. Oh no, we don't want the problem. The women, we don't want the problem solved because we're only going to get a fair and reasonable slice of the money like that. No, we
Yeah.
want we want the 95%, right?
Well, they don't want to share. I mean, Peter, I mean, if you worked your butt off and bought the house, she stayed home and raised the kids, and you bought the furniture and bought the house and everything there, when she replaces you and you're the hamburger wrapper,
Yeah.
okay, don't worry about it. You know that all that stuff you bought is hers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's
know
all
that
hers.
you know that
It's
half
all hers.
you know that half of your money, including your retirement, is hers, right?
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
know you owe her, right? You just naturally owe her, right?
yeah. I mean, in my case, the young guys can't believe it when I say, but I had to argue to get my hat collection back. I had a hat collection. When I was young, I collected flags from each country that I went to. They're all in Australia. I never got my flags back. But when I was in Europe, I was going to so many places. I started keeping a hat collection, and she wouldn't even give me my hat collection back. And
That
young men
sounds
are
about
like,
right.
you can't even get you can't even get your hat collection back just for the asking. No, not even your hat collection.
No, 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 it all belongs to her. Everything's mine, 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 mine. Okay?
Everything's
It's
fine.
that mentality. See
Yeah,
this? I love you. No, I love what I can steal from you.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
to lie. I love to use. That's really what it comes down to. And
yeah,
I hate to be this way because I understand TFL guys. Because when I look at the reality online, I know why Forever Alone would be pushing Forever Alone, talking TFL topics and sticking with the Forever Alone. Because if you pay attention to the BS that's happened, and with the Huffington Post, you had a phony baloney stage show van run me over in Canada with an incel guy who supposedly was driving the van and ran these women over, right? And in the middle of that post from Huffington Post was the name, Steve Hoka, with the topic, True Force Loneliness.
oh, did he make the Huffington Post? Did he?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
So,
okay.
with True Force Loneliness, no less. So,
Mm.
you know, and you really look at the situation, this is what you got. NWO, the people at the top can sell because we're at the end of NWO. This is why you see the transgender thing going on. Okay?
Yeah,
Because the actual plan is to do away with genders. Okay? They want to completely do away with genders, and they want to use their damn hatcheries to create life. It sounds nuts, but it's not. And this
yeah,
is the reason they're spending all this money on these sex bots and real life looking sex dolls, because that is where they're going to take us. And men and women alike, no. You know who's going to be getting real births? The elite at the top. The rest of
yeah,
us peasants, if you're lucky enough to have enough money to buy a sex bot or a doll, that'll be your mate. You
yeah,
understand? That's what they want. This is
yeah,
NW planning. You cannot sell True Force Loneliness because that tells the truth. When you look on the internet, in the manosphere, the most honest, truthful entity in the manosphere has not been going their own way. Okay? It is TFL.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what people say. I can back that all day long. The True Force Loneliness crowd tends to be young men that are being very honest, that ain't bullshitting nobody, that's telling the truth. I come up here and tell cold truth to you, whether you like it or not. Steve Hulk is brutally honest. He don't come up here and bullshit you. So I think Forever Alone Monday's job is to destroy TFL and to replace TFL with Forever Alone because they can sell that to the public. And in selling TFL will be the ones they will use for the new mental health laws. Will be the
Yeah.
villains.
Yeah. The men will be the villains.
Yes.
But they're going to make villains. They're going to do the propaganda to make villains out of MGTOW, incels, and TFLers. The whole thing. I mean, look, they tried to call Elliot Rodger an MRA, right? they they make the most ridiculous connections,
Oh,
and
an actor.
yeah, they're just going to propagandize the general public and bash various groups of men. And it doesn't really matter what the group of men is. They're going to bash men and label men badly.
Oh,
I mean,
yes, exactly. They're going to do
it's
like they did with the
always
red flag laws. You know, the red flag laws is coming after guns. And when
yeah.
you pay attention to the stuff they used, okay, then you realize the stuff they've used to pass these laws are fraudulent, okay? So you're going to do the same thing here with the mental health when it comes to the manosphere and coming after men. That's just what Peter just said.
Yeah.
You're going to
And then
use fraudulent stuff to demonize men, to push mental health laws on them, to take rights away from them, to shut them up.
yep. And they're going to make it harder. Pretty soon it'll be more and more difficult to get a job. They'll label you with something, and then they'll spread it all over the social media, and then it's hard for you to get a job, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, I'm the canary in that coal mine. Look at how I've been treated for 11 years, and it's not like I'm going to be the last one treated like this, right? I mean,
Oh,
there was like 10 or 15 slander sites set up about me at one stage.
oh, I
There was
remember that
there
too.
was there was agents coming out of the freaking woodwork slandering me all over the place. Back in 2011,
I
2012,
can
after I was
remember
done.
that because I was Google searching you and I was finding all this shit against you. And then I was
Yeah,
doing a True Force loneliness search, which is basically on myself. Because if
yeah,
I go in Google and I put in True Force loneliness or I go to Yahoo, doesn't matter. I can use any search engine. I'm basically searching myself when I do that. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
find slanderous sites full of lies about me all the time. And I started comparing what I was finding about Peter. And I was like, God damn, him and I have something in common. Damn, we're hated.
Yeah, well, looking pretty similar back in the day. Back in the day. Now, a lot of those sites have gone down because Google took them down and things like that. But um, the damage is done. So such is life. But I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're just going to attack people. I mean, look this week, Steven Crowder is a bad man. He has to be demonetized. I'm like, Steven Crowder is so milk toast, right? He is so. It's like, yeah, he tells a couple of bad jokes. That's about the extent of Steven Crowder, right?
Yes.
Oh, but he has to be demonetized because a gay guy got upset. It's like, that's it's just going to continue on more and more and more like that. And they're just going to use the pretense of somebody's feelings got hurt, so you have to shut up, and if you
Oh,
don't shut
yeah.
up, we'll kick you out of your job. We'll make it impossible for you to earn a living. And by the way, we're not going to give you any unemployment benefit, right?
Yeah. I see Jeff Aston is here. He likes you, Peter. He thinks you're a good man. Okay.
Hi, Jeff.
He said he was so impressed that you were here last time I done something with you. And then of course I see he liked my video I did earlier. It's lengthy, but I did that because I'm trying to get people that ain't so awake to wake up and see the truth. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I sort of hated doing what I did about a week ago against Mark Passio, but he didn't leave me any choice because I've always, Mark Passio tells so much truth, but I've always suspected he was what I'm sure he was. And when he came out and he did his little piece on his last week's show, and he was slamming the hell out of mainstream media for lying, being treasonous to the people. I agree, he's telling the truth. But then he went over to alternative media and put them in the spotlight as being the real media, the good people. And that's no truth to that. Everything is
no,
controlled. And both sides of media, alternative and mainstream, are controlled by the same entity. So I had to call him out on that bullshit.
yeah. The vast majority of alternative media are agents.
Yeah,
It's all the false opposition or controlled opposition.
it is. It is.
The,
You
the,
know, and it's controlled by the same people. So I got like, okay, fine. You just had to do that in my face, Mark. Now I have to expose you. And so I exposed him and I got attacked. I
yeah,
got
yeah.
told, make up my mind. He's either a good guy or ain't.
Well, one of the things with agents is about 98% of what they say is true, right? It's
That's
the
how
two.
they get you.
It's a little bit of poison that gets you, right?
It's only
It's a
that
little bit
little
of
bit of
poison.
poison they put in there, you know.
Yeah,
And I've always known this. Now I'm not shooting down the truth Mark Passio tells because the man's done a lot of great work telling the truth. But where do you think he got that knowledge, just like with David Icke, to tell you this truth?
yeah,
He just
yeah.
didn't come up with this knowledge.
Well,
Okay?
he was an insider for a long time, according to his story. So you know,
Yeah, Mark Passio.
yeah, yeah. Mike Passio
Yeah.
was an insider for a long time, according to his story, and he has done a lot of
You
good
know
stuff.
what? Is his story is still more believable than David Icke's. Because David
Yeah,
Icke's awakening came in a bookstore out of some kind of psychic BBB BS. Okay, that don't
yeah,
know. As that's not the real scenario. But the point is David Icke has told one hell of a lot of real truth. Mark
yeah,
Passio has told one hell of a lot of real truth. And as Peter said, it's that little fraction of poison that you have to be aware of because that's just where they'll send you down the rabbit hole.
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, we opposed our friends and colleagues in the Committee of 300 for years and years, and were persecuted for it. And basically, anybody who's not being severely politically persecuted by their governments can't be doing too much right? Because I mean, when I was in London, MI5, MI6, whichever, came after me and harassed me and all the rest of it. And, I was just one guy. I was just one guy, you know, speaking up, pointing out that the divorce courts were criminal, etc. Yeah, I had a very small audience through 2008, 2009, and I didn't grow my audience until 2010, really. And you know, a couple of thousand, that we had the spearhead and places like that. So maybe 10 or 20,000 guys knew who I was by the end of 2010. Oh no, the government came down heavy on me, and it's like, well, if they're not coming down heavy on you, then you're probably not causing them any trouble, right?
Oh, that's the crux of what people don't understand. If you come up on YouTube, even back then, and your sub list goes through the roof, you got all these followers, chances are you're an agent and you're a liar. Or
Yeah,
you're going
yeah,
along with, you're stupid, dumb, and going along with the propaganda. So they're going to let you grow. Okay?
yeah,
But if you come up here and you actually know what's really going on, to start speaking truth, then it's going to be just as Peter said. You're going to be attacked. You're going to be pushed down. You're going to be subs. You're going to lose channels. You might even have visits from feds like I did. I mean, it's going to happen to you, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. That's like I with Mike the other day saying, "Oh, you'll wind up in jail." It's like I've already been in jail. I mean, Jesus. If you if you haven't been severely attacked by the government, you're not saying anything that they were concerned about. And
What
in
is,
the end,
uh,
sorry, in the end, I just said, there's no help for guys like us, and I need to repay the loans that I took out because I had to borrow money to live on for years while I was being attacked by the government. And I just said, "Oh, time to leave. Have to leave and go back and get a job and earn some money to pay off the loans that I took out."
you got to do what you
It's
got to
tough
do. Yeah. I
because
mean,
in the name, I mean, you just type the name Peter Nolan into Google. I can't use that name when I'm working.
well, Peter's got a very valuable point because what happened to Peter similarly happened to me. And Peter was around then. And if it
Yeah,
wasn't for Peter, I'm telling you what, this man's good. And even though he don't live in the U.S., he understands the legal system and the justice system good enough. He skipped the shit out of the piece of shit that did what they did to me. It didn't get
yeah.
well. It didn't go nowhere, but it don't matter. He fucking put the shaking in her socks, made him go hire a lawyer. They literally went out and spent money to hire a lawyer because of what Peter sent.
Yeah, and we're going to. I mean, when we do finally start finding some honest men of honor and integrity to sit on these juries, we're going to go do that case, right? The case where you got wrongfully dismissed from your job.
Yes.
You should be paid compensation for that. There's a video coming out. I shot it today, right? Can't remember the name of the university, but there was a university just yesterday had $11 million awarded against them for inciting their students to go and do the whole social justice warrior thing. And I just can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I only saw it this afternoon. And the jury closed out yesterday with a guilty verdict, saying they incited these people to go and try and do damage to this bakery, trying to get the bakery shut down. And the jury awarded the bakery $11 million in compensation, and now they're going to do the punitive damages hearing next week. So that that was an interesting case because it's saying even in the criminally corrupt U.S. courts, it's saying if you go around slandering people, you better have some money because you could be winding up with quite a large um, fine against you. So
Yeah.
11 million dollars for trying to get a small bakery shut down. That's an amazing thing. And I thought that was a really interesting case, and it'll be out on my channel probably tomorrow or the next day. I'm not quite sure. I
Well,
scheduled it.
that's just it. Some people may think, well, this is old hat, but no. Peter's right in the aspect that he's doing more than most people are. He's trying to fight back against the criminal system, but he's going out of his way to do what he can physically do. Because when we try to get people together, like he said for juries, you try to get people together and fight anything to stop the corruption, and it's like walking through a concrete wall.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Well,
so scared, so coward. No, I ain't got time for that. Oh, well, we couldn't make a difference. They're too big. They got all these excuses to never do nothing.
yeah, yeah, that's right. They got excuses for why I'm not going to do anything, with the favorite excuse being, well, if I did something to help, the government might hurt me. Well, duh. Of course, the government's going to try and hurt you. I
What
mean,
freaking
duh.
war was ever won by a bunch of cowards?
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what it is. You just like, okay, if you don't do juries, quite literally, if men don't do juries, and try cases through the jury trial process, the next stop is to pick up guns and start shooting.
Yeah,
That's like the next stop.
it is. You know, when Jeff Ashton says he thinks that MGTOW is being promoted by government and Google. Well, to Jeff Ashton, that would be a correct answer. Of course they are. Do you think that MGTOW went mainstream because it just happened to go mainstream? No, 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 no. MGTOW was the answer that could have made a big awakening if people would have taken it seriously. But because nobody took it seriously, you got to understand that men going their own way scared the hell out of the people in the pyramid.
Yeah, but the other thing about MGTOW is in line with the depopulation program, right?
Yes.
So the Committee of 300 is like, yeah, okay, men going their own way. That's fine. We're not going to do anything to
Oh
damage that
no,
because
no. The only thing they did,
that's
the only thing they did to it at all was took it mainstream and flipped the definition around a little bit, confused people to carry it on because it goes in line with population reduction. Okay, if you went with it seriously and enough men globally would have walked away from women completely, women wouldn't be able to get a man. Women would back up and think, but they didn't want that. Okay, so they're not going to do that. But to promote it and keep it going and get men to at least still fight women or even do like When in Doubt says, well, it's not about walking away from women. It's about choosing your own path. It's about playing the game. They don't care. Play the game all you want, cause all the friction you want, keep the fighting going. Hey, that's exactly what they want.
yeah. Yep. So me, the reason that one of the reasons that MGTOW will grow and continue to get bigger, and it is growing and exploding, is it's in line with the population reduction program,
Yeah.
which is agenda item number one for these guys. So they'll let it go, and I was aware of that. I didn't use the MGTOW label until after I was thrown in jail in 2014 and I knew and understood. And what I basically said to the Committee 300 was, okay, you guys leave me alone, and I'll leave you alone. And so they let me leave Germany, and they leave me alone now, right? So that's fine. They'll leave me alone, and I can get on with my life to an extent for whatever years I've got left, pay back the loans that I have, and live a good life, hopefully. But there's, as far as I can tell, there's nothing that's going to stop the depopulation program from happening now. I don't see anybody who can stop it, and I don't even see anybody really trying to stop
You
it.
know, it could be stopped, Peter, overnight, but there ain't nobody gonna stop it. Because to stop it, even overnight, would be so simple to do. But at the same time, it's 5 times harder than as simple as it is. Because what Peter just said, nobody cares. Nobody's going to do anything. You know, the
Yeah,
elite love you because they always said, we're going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do it. And you will do nothing about it. And that's exactly what they've done. And you're doing exactly what they said you'd do.
yeah, yeah. And when we had a chance to fight back, when we were still in a position where there was very good prospect of dealing with our friends and colleagues, no, nobody's interested. So now I just think now the level of tracking of communication, it's just impossible to even talk to anybody to plan anything that could be that could be serious,
It is because
serious opposition.
the
It's
breakdown
just
of
impossible.
communication is impossible. And then you couldn't trust people because so many people have been paid off by the tool.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry,
So,
but the tool is more important to them. You know, I can understand you need money to make a living, and it's the tool. I understand that, and I respect that. But I also understand I don't care how much tool there is, how much money it is, there is no justification to allow what's going on to go on. And most people are too freaking brain fried, stupid, dumb, whatever you want to call them, docile to understand severity of what's coming their way.
Oh yeah, bad times are coming. Bad times are coming. And what I'm saying to guys now is, I don't see any way of stopping the overall program. I just say to men, you might want to get out of the way of what's coming,
But yeah,
because they won't kill everyone. They still want to have, whether it's 500 million or a billion or whatever. They still want some people left. So if you can get
no.
out of the way, that would be a good thing. And that's why I'm pretty out of the way.
Yeah,
That's why I'm out of the way,
and
right?
I can honestly sit here and talk with Peter about this because he understands something. Peter did co-host my radio show back in the day with me. Peter is awake overall to what's going on in society. You may not
Yeah,
see it from some of his videos, but he understands what's going on. He knows what happened to the genders. He knows why this is going on just the same as I do.
yeah, yeah. And we had a chance back in the 2010, 11, 12 period to sort it out, and there's not enough interest in sorting it out. And now I just don't think it can be sorted out.
We've tried for so long, and there's so many agents, so many sellouts for money, so
Yeah,
many people running on ego and not understanding their ego corrupts them, you know. And it just amazes me how I'm hated for by a truther, Peter, because I wounded a truther with truth.
yeah, yeah,
And when you wound a truther with truth, it's because there was never a truther to begin with. Their ego inflated, their head swelled up, and they was never here for the right reason to begin with.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you cannot wound a truther with truth unless they're fake to begin with. And majority of people online are fraudulent fakes.
yeah. A lot of either fakes or just too stupid to know what's going on. It's one of the two.
That would be
But
it.
it's
That would be it right there.
a
They're
bit
either fake or too stupid to know what's
stupid.
going on.
But now I just think it's, get out of the way of what's coming, because what's coming, I don't know how long it's going to take to push this program. But
I think
if
David
you,
Icke is giving you an estimated date if you pay
yeah,
attention. Now, will it
yeah,
hit? I don't know. But his
yeah,
estimated date is between 2030 and 2035 that we're going to
yeah,
see it come in and mankind will change in a way that, and I think he told you the truth about that. Okay, 100% I do believe that's all truth. Now, will they hit that date? I think probably so because I had to go back and agree with Peter. What are you going to do about it? The same thing you're doing now.
yeah. Nothing's going to be done about it.
Exactly.
But if you look at Europe in particular, if you look at Sweden, Germany, France, UK, which are kind of pivotal countries in Europe. I mean, these places are unrecognizable from 20 years ago. I mean, I first came to Europe in 1999, right? My very first trip to Europe was 1999. And on that trip, I just did London, Paris. And it wasn't until 2001 that I was living in Europe. But when I came over here in 2001, I was traveling around Europe a lot. And Europe today is unrecognizable from Europe just 2001. We got like a 2,000-year-old civilization has drastically changed in the space of 15, 20 years. Drastically changed.
I believe it.
And if the rate of change continues for the next 15 or 20 years, it's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be
Well,
pretty bad.
and the thing is, Peter, I think the FEMA camps are all they're not using them because they're scared.
Yeah, they're there to scare people.
Okay?
But
Not that they couldn't use them because they could, but they don't really need to. They don't need to at all because they're getting their population reduction. And you may
yeah,
not think they are, but they are. They're lying to you with the overpopulation. because we've never been overpopulated. There's less births every year than the year before. Okay, and people may not know that, but there is less
Mm,
births than the year before, but not less deaths because people are still dying every year. It's just
yeah,
less people being brought back in. Okay,
yeah.
and people don't understand that. They don't need population reduction. They don't need to use the FEMA camps because they've already got you where they want you.
Yep. There's I just I mean I studied this stuff in depth in 2008, 2009 to come up with a way of how do you kind of cut the head off the serpent. And now that it's 10 years later, I just don't think personally I just don't think it can be done. I mean
No.
look at the scenes out of places like San Francisco and LA. I mean San Francisco and LA used to be really nice cities. You go down to Canary Wharf in San Francisco. I was in San Francisco in 1990. I was working over there, and I was working in Silicon Valley for IBM in 1990. And I used to trip up to San Francisco and go around San Jose. And
You're working
these
in
were,
the heart of the beast.
yeah, these were really nice places back
I
then.
know, but Silicon Valley is the heart of the beast.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where
There's
all
a
the
lot of
evil's at right now. You want the
there's
heart
a
of the beast? Here you are, right there.
yeah. So you know that San Francisco and LA and places like that are they're absolute third world now, and they're looking at uh, diseases arising in these. And what you're going to see is you're going to see some fairly exotic diseases kill off a fairly significant number of people, and then you're going to have food shortages and water shortages and stuff like that. It's not going to be pretty.
Well, it ain't gonna really
Not
be
going to be
water
pretty.
shortages. The shortages is just like the food. It's being man created.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
right under everybody's nose, they shut down hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of farms in the U.S. and they even paid farmers to not grow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So then they're going to tell you it's because we're running out of resources when there's absolutely no truth to it whatsoever. So, when it comes right down to it, no.
They basically they want less people around, and they're going to get it. I think they're going to. I think they're going to get it. And I always come back to the story of when you see how people treat each other today. I'm not too sorry that there's going to be less people in the world in the future. It's people have treated each other poorly for a long, long
Oh,
time.
tell me about it. That's Peter knows me. I'm actually somebody that actually really cares about everybody
Yeah,
in general. I always have. If it wasn't for my heart, my care, and passion for what's right for everybody, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. Okay? Peter knows this about me. And
yeah.
that's the thing I think that probably pisses me off most with people is the fact that you don't have that care. And
Yeah.
I actually do.
Don't care about other people. I mean, that's how I first found you online. You were around for years before I was around, and it was obvious from the get go that you cared for other people and your concern was the welfare of other people. That's been obvious to me from the absolute get go. From the first time I met, from like first time I saw you, I'm like, oh, who's this guy? And that must have been like 2008 or 2009 was the very first time I saw you. But you had a channel for quite a while even then,
Yes.
and but you cared about other people, and it was obvious you cared about people. And you had Jason was a lot younger, of course, then, and you were worried about his future, etc. And so, we were similar characters because I was like, yeah, the young kids of my country, or my countries, Ireland and Australia. I was out there to see, can I stop what's planned to happen from happening because these kids don't deserve it to have such a bad fate. But
But that's it.
there's so few of us.
It
There's so
even it
few of
even
us.
makes it so sad, Peter, because we got all these children right now that are growing up to no future.
Yeah, Yeah.
And people don't
That's
understand. Your children do not have a future.
it's a
You have
very bad.
robbed them of their future.
Yeah. They they may not live very long, and those who do live into what's coming next, they're not gonna be very pleased at what their parents and their grandparents gave them, right? Because
Yeah,
if you look at us, we're of the age where our grandparents were the guys who fought World War II. My grandfather was in World War II, and the men who were your grandfather's age, they were the guys who fought World War II, and they left a better future for everyone, right?
yeah,
So everyone had a like through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, things were significantly better than what they were during the zeros, tens, 20s, 30s, 40s, right?
oh, definitely,
The
definitely.
the
You know,
first 40 years from 1900 to 1950, those years were way harder than 1950 through to 2000, right?
yeah,
Way harder. And from 1950 through to 2000, you had a much better chance at a better life than you did the 50 years earlier, right?
yeah, you did. And now what you're watching is the complete
Now it's
flip again.
now
It's
it's
right
going
back
down.
downhill. Okay.
And the
You know,
yeah, and the
the
young
thing is they do this. They do it in sequences of 80, 90-year sequences when they repeat stuff of major because they want the majority of the population to be dead, died off, so that they can't warn the new population of what they're doing.
Yep, that's part of it. Yeah, they raise up empires and sunset empires to make sure everyone feels like things are uncertain. Things change all
Yeah.
the time. Things are uncertain all the time because fear is a much bigger motivator
Oh,
than gain, right?
well, fear is control. If we
Yeah,
scare the bejeebus out of you, you tend to listen and do what we want because we scared the bejeebus out of you. How do you
yeah,
think the military gets by with it? Because boot camp is brainwashing. So you went through school and got dumbed down, which was brainwashing. Then you went out of the military. You went into the military because some damn recruiter shows up at your high school and tells you you're going to become a man or a woman, and they get you in there and they brainwash you in boot camp.
yep,
Okay, then it's game over because now you believe the brainwashing and we got control because if you don't do as we say, we'll make an example out of you and court martial you and lock you up.
yeah, or shoot you, as the British
Yeah.
used to do,
And
right?
you see them punish, lock somebody up, or shoot them or whatever, you go, and now you listen.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I mean, I always use the example of building the pyramids, right? Back in the day when they're building the pyramids, and some guy gets up and says, I've had enough of building pyramids. I don't want to build pyramids anymore. The guard comes up and says, You don't want to build pyramids? Says, no. Okay. Run him through with a spear and kill him. All right. Anybody else around here not want to build a pyramid today? No, 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 it's fine. I'll build the pyramid today. That's okay. We've
Yeah,
changed it from a spear to taxation, right? We've just changed the spear to, well, if you don't do what we say, we're going to throw you in jail over you didn't pay enough taxes or something, right?
yeah,
We'll make something up and throw you in jail for a while, and that will scare everybody else. And
yeah.
that's exactly what happens.
That's exactly what and they're going to continue this trend. The
Oh yeah,
sad thing
yeah.
is I look at the reality, and what I'm seeing, Peter, is the end stages of NWO. As they're closing in right now on the last stages.
Oh
They're
yeah,
going
yeah.
after your children. They're destroying everything left. And the end stages, I'm telling you, in ways, I'm glad that I'm on my end stages of life. Okay?
Yep. I mean, I look at this and go, well, maybe I got 10 or 20 years left. That's fine. And I've had a great life. That's fine. But the young guys coming through, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for the
No,
young guys.
their future is not going to be what they. It's so sick, and how
Yeah.
people just don't care about one another and how they fight each other. You know, I had a goal, Peter, for the end of this year, but I told everybody I probably won't be able to accomplish it, and that was to bring the manosphere together.
Hmm.
And the reason
And
I said I won't accomplish it is because when you look around, the men are too busy hating one another
yeah, they're attacking each other
and
all the
attacking
time.
each
Yeah.
other all the time. And nobody wants to take any time out of their busy schedule of nothing to look and open their eyes and pay attention. That's why I was so impressed with the man from United Kingdom. Because here was a 21-year-old man who was actually taking the time to look and
Yeah.
using this thing in their head, okay, and exhibiting critical thinking skills and real common sense, not fraudulent common sense, and was able to observe and watch and pay attention, and he actually has care. And
Hmm.
because of these things, he's like, he's one of the flukes because the majority of people at his age are never that way. So I was so impressed with him, and that's the reason I did that live stream with him. And I will respect this young man and stand by him because he's what we need more of.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I don't even right now. I don't know what the way out of this is, apart from men just getting out of the way of what's coming. And this is also part of, you got TFL with the TFLers are not going to have kids, and a lot of the MGTOWs are not going to have kids.
No,
And I would argue that's a good thing. The one of the worst things, I would argue, one of the worst things you could do to a child now
it's
is bring
half
it
a
into
kid
this
right now.
world
Yeah,
in in the way it
I would
is.
totally agree with Peter on that because to have a child in today's society, I think is wrong because the fact that child's not going to have a life.
It's not going to have very good opportunities. No,
No,
for the next period, and I don't know how long the next period will be. Children being conceived now are going to have a pretty rough time of it. They're not going to turn around and thank you, right? So
no. I
and
mean, how could you blame them? These
no,
children don't stand a chance because
no,
the people before them were cowards who
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
stand up to a group of people at the top.
yeah. Wouldn't stand up to our friends in the committee 300. Wouldn't stand up to angry women. Wouldn't stand up to criminal politicians. Wouldn't
Yeah,
wouldn't take on any of those issues. Just no, no, just leave me alone. Give me my soma, give me my TV, give me my
give me
alcohol,
my
give me my
TV,
cigarette,
my
give me my
football, my
drugs.
beer. That's right. Your drugs, your whatever. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. There ain't
Yeah,
nothing wrong. Everything's fine. Everything's hunky dory. You know? And it's this mentality of weak minded people that has got us exactly where we're at. And so,
yeah,
how do you feel sorry for ignorance? It's like when I warn people about cancer. I've got lots of hours of research into cancer, and I understand that cancer is an immune system problem because your immune system is weak from not getting the proper minerals and vitamins. I know now you're going to run right to the pharmacy to get your vitamins, right? That's a joke. You're
yeah,
going to get
yeah. That's
fraudulent
right.
vitamins that ain't vitamins at all and give them your money
Yeah,
to do it and still be sick. You know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it pisses me off because I see it, know it's real, and know that if you get cancer, if you would just open your eyes and do a little legwork, you could get the cure for cancer just by getting the proper vegetables, fruits, and vitamins into your system. Your immune system will become strong again and knock the cancer right on out. But no, you don't
yep,
want to do that. You want to run to your doctor so he can give you kill me therapy and finish killing you and make a lot of money off you.
yep. This is what they're doing, and they're fleecing people of their money towards the end of their lives, right?
Yes,
The,
that's
it's
exactly
just
what
yeah,
they're doing.
we'll drain you of all your money at the end of your life, so you don't get to pass any of that on, etc. So yeah, I mean, I don't see over the next 20, 30 years, particularly in the West, I don't see things are going to go swimmingly for the next 20 or 30 years. I don't know about other areas of the world. I don't know how it's going to go in, say, places like China or India, etc. But
Well, I think China, outside of population reduction, I think China's still going to be your new superpower.
oh yeah, they
Okay,
are going to be a superpower. Yeah,
and
yeah.
this country I'm sitting in is going to be like the ghost town of death and blood and
Well,
destruction. I mean, there's going to be nothing left here.
yeah,
Okay.
it's in decline. The U.S. is in decline economically. I mean, you're having some good numbers at the moment, but it's going to be in decline.
Well, they're
And
fraudulent numbers to begin with. It gets me is money is
yeah,
man made anyhow. It's all materialistic BS. The what your value is money was created by another damn man that puts his pants on the same way you do.
yeah,
We could easily take that system back just by creating our own and showing them this to theirs.
yeah,
That's how
yeah,
easy it is. But nobody's going to do that neither because cowards.
yeah. Well, way back in 2011, I was proposing that we create our own money, that we have a thing called the Man Bank and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
and said, we should do contracts between ourselves, money between ourselves, have a bank ourselves, and just leave the government out of it, right?
Leave them
And men
completely
went,
out. Just critique.
and and there's by 2011, 2012, lots of people knew who I was by then, and there was like, no, no, we're not interested because this is a new bank and the banks that we got, they're okay. Well, yeah, they do rip us off a little bit, but that's better than starting something new. And so
Yeah.
nothing happened. Men, all these men who said we want to solve these problems. We said, okay, how you solve the problems is you leave the government out of it and you start your own
So now
um,
what's happened since then,
things.
Peter? In Sweden, we already have cashless society where they shut down the banks. It's already
Yeah, yeah,
happening right under your nose. And you
yeah,
think,
yeah,
oh, but that's in Sweden. Oh, don't worry. Give it another 10, 15 years and it'll be all over the world. And you're going to see your banks close their doors and you're going to be under a cashless society. Now, you think it's a good thing? Well, here's how good it is. You don't do as they say, they shut off your chip. You got no money to buy anything. You're screwed. You can't get food, can't pay your rent. And then they're going to make it illegal to do what Peter was just talking about. It's going to be illegal to barter. When they
yeah,
come in with this cashless system, they're going to tell Peter and I that if Peter and I decide to take a trade and we're going to survive off the land and trade our goods and resources to do so, that they're going to do a Waco on us and they're going to come in there and kill us and lock us up. And that's exactly what they're going to do because it's about control.
yeah, yeah. That's what's going to happen. So we had our time. My argument is we had our time. We had our opportunity. They weren't ready, but they've been working their tails off for the last 10 years, and they're very ready now. They're very ready now. You just got to. I mean, you just have to look at. We've had 4G come through. We're going to get 5G, which is going to, you know, pinpoint you. They'll be able to pinpoint exactly where you are 24/7. They can listen
Exactly.
to everything you say, everything you type on your computer, everything you say on your telephone. You've got now a uh, hyper surveillance society. In a lot of places, you've got facial recognition on cameras on the street, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
people gonna have their
You,
phones that got a camera on it, and the killer's gonna be sitting somewhere, and there's some pervert's gonna be peeking through the camera. Maybe you'll be in there
yeah.
masturbating, and they'll watch you.
Yeah, but there's now no way to organize any opposition that they don't hear about, right? And now the governments are not even concerned that you know that they're a bunch of criminal scumbags. Police officers are not even concerned that
No,
you
they,
know
they
that
you
they're
one time
scumbags.
they until one time they were concerned about it and scared about it, but now they're
They're
out in
not
the open
concerned.
with it. They don't care at all.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, it's not even like they're hiding anything anymore. It's way out. It's way out in the public. It's way in your face, because they know that, well, there's nothing that anyone can do about it
Well, that
anymore.
and then, and that's what was so ridiculous about Monday Forever Alone when he
Mm.
made the comment that he's too busy to go on Steve Hogan's live stream because he's too busy being a New World Order agent.
Yeah,
That was just hilarious because it's so in people's face, and that's like a wink, wink. You know I am. And for the people who ain't awake, he's just being sarcastic because we're conspiracy theorists, we're nut jobs, we're tinfoil wearing hats, going back to the same old BS. Okay, that's all that was.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, for the young fellas out there, I'd be thinking about, how do I avoid what's coming along, right? How do I
Uh,
avoid it?
I
And
would be looking out. It's going to be hard.
it's going to be tough, because they've made it really difficult to go and live on the land, to go and buy a plot of land and live off rainwater and stuff you grow yourself. I mean, well, there was that farmer in the US who was put in jail for collecting rainwater on his own property, right?
Yes,
You need some light. Apparently, the rain is now not from God, but from the government, and you need a license to collect it, right?
this is what they're doing. Yes.
So,
Even here in the states, even over here, we got
yeah,
certain states that they're telling you you can't collect rainwater because
yeah,
it's illegal. Okay,
yeah, and
come on, it's illegal to collect something that don't belong to somebody who's claiming it. I
yeah,
show them this. The only thing illegal is if you try to stop me, you might have a foot up your ass.
yeah. And things like growing your own food and trading food, they've made that illegal in most places in the US as well, because
Yes.
health and safety concerns. Like, only Monsanto can give you good food, right? So, that's it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Don't know how it's going to work out, but I don't think it's going to work out well.
I don't think it's going to be good because you're not going to be able to get any real seed for food because it's all anything you buy in the store, those packages of food seed to grow your garden with, is Monsanto's. It's GMO. You're
Yeah,
not going to get
yeah,
real seed. It's Monsanto's. So you're buying from Monsanto's. I don't give a shit what store you walk into. When you buy that package of seed, it's Monsanto's. Okay?
yeah,
Then the chemtrails, the aluminum and barium in the ground, what are you planting your shit in?
yep.
So
It's
really, there's not much chance or hope. Because,
yeah.
just something I did say, pay attention. When's the last time you seen anybody at the top get cancer? I'm talking about the elite. Okay, why didn't George Herbert Walker Bush die from cancer? Why don't you see these people in these high positions coming up with cancer? How come they don't get it? Did you ever stop to think because these people protected themselves? They don't live anywhere from miles from any kind of chemtrails because they're not spraying over their heads.
Yep.
They
And
actually have real food seed and get real food, real vitamins and minerals that you don't.
yeah, they get good food, basically. They look how long most of these guys at the top live.
Yeah,
Not many of them are keeling over at 60 years of age, right? They're living to 90 and 100.
90, 100 years old easy.
Yeah, yeah, lots of, and not just a small number of them, lots of them. You get
Lots.
and even when they're obese, like Henry Kissinger. I mean, Henry Kissinger should have died of a heart attack years ago, but I think he's still around. I think he's even still around. I don't think he's
I
dead yet.
do believe he's still around, yes. You
And
know,
like, the guy's the size of a small barn,
and
and he's
people
still
don't
around.
and people don't pay attention How come all these people are dying from cancer of this and this and this? And then as you reach up to the top, all these people have long, healthy lives, like as if the red flag isn't going like, hi.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I found out all about that in the mid 90s when I was sick. Jennifer was sick and I was sick, and we found a naturopath, and the naturopath cured us both. And we've been going. Joshua was born in 1993, and she nearly died during that pregnancy. He was born in May 93. She nearly died in that pregnancy, and she was very ill for the following 2 years. And because, loving, caring husband me, I was taking her to, and I had the absolute top medical care, right? Because if you got a wife and 4 kids, you don't skimp on medical care, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't skimp on your medical insurance policy. And I had her in and out of all the specialists I could take her to. And in the end, they just said, "No, this is it. This is your wife's condition now. She had all these allergies, etc. She just has to live with it." And then when we found a naturopath and we went with the naturopath, 3 months she was back healthy, and within 6 months, she's out bushwalking and up and down the mountains and kayaking and caving, etc. Like she'd never been that fit and healthy in her whole life. And I'm like,
Yeah.
huh, okay.
Ron asked
So
you.
so our doctors
uh,
our doctors are lying to us, huh?
Ron asked you a question there, Peter.
All right. Would you? Ron's saying, can you comment on Gemma O'Doherty? If she's a plant, why did a campaign get such poor results in a clearly rigged campaign? I don't know what her results were, Ron, but um, Gemma O'Doherty, as far as I know, is an agent. She's just there to cause people to come over to vote for her. Um, Presumably, she did persuade some people to vote for her. But the conversations that I had was um, when she came out and started talking about anti-corruption. She was talking about the anti-corruption party and against the corruption of the Irish government. And I asked her many times in the comments early on, very politely, well, Gemma, are you going to mention the corruption of the divorce courts, given that I've proven all this and published all these documents? And she just ignored me, ignored me, ignored me. And
Of course.
then in the end, um, I was getting a little bit more forceful in asking, Gemma, you keep talking about I'm the anti-corruption candidate. Are you ever going to start talking about the divorce courts? Because they're the worst portion of corruption, which affects the most people in the country. Nope, not going to talk about it, right? And in the end, she banned me from banned me from the comment section for pointing this out. And a few other guys came over and pointed it out as well. It's like, Gemma, when are you going to talk about the divorce courts? It's like the one topic you will not talk about. So I had no doubt that she was an agent. I don't know how many votes she got or whatever happened, but I have no doubt that she was an agent. No.
There you go, right there. Vote, do nothing. Someone else will solve your problems using their
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it.
I mean, Gemma O'Doherty is supposed to have been a journalist for the last 20 years in Ireland, but has somehow in the last 20 years never written an article about what happens in the divorce courts. It's like, yeah, right. That's really believable. And even John Waters, who was married to Sinead O'Connor, right? As batshit insane as Sinead O'Connor was, I spoke with John Waters years ago and asked him, is he going to actually say anything about the divorce courts? And he said, no, if I say anything about the divorce courts, I won't be saying anything for very long. Right? So he was quite clear. John Waters was quite clear that talking about the divorce courts was out of bounds for him, despite the fact
Yeah,
that he was divorced from Sinead O'Connor.
yeah, because
So,
he's got to
but
protect his income, don't he?
yeah, yeah. Well, his income or worse, right?
Right, and he don't want to lose his friends.
Yeah. So, so even a guy like John Waters is not going to talk about the divorce courts in Ireland. So, what can you say? If someone says, hi, I've been a reporter for 20 years and I'm founding the anti-corruption party and I'm going to stand for election, but I'm never, ever, ever going to talk about the criminality of the divorce courts, the criminality of the government, and the fact that it's all been proven. Well, it's not a very believable story, is it?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Not a believable story at all.
But I
I
think,
mean,
I think the situation is down to it ain't gonna matter who's in what office and what position, where and how and what, because it's all fraudulent.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I got just for you, Ron. Most people don't know that I got Alan Shatter fired, and Alan Shatter was the Minister for Justice and Equality in Ireland. And the way I got him fired was going all over social media in Ireland saying Alan Shatter justifies anti Semitism because Alan Shatter's committing crimes against the Goy from the high office of Minister of Justice and Equality. And that makes it perfectly valid to hate Jews, right? So maybe you Jews should be getting rid of Alan Shatter. And they did in the end because after about a year of this, they went, yeah, the guy is making a point and he's
Don't be.
trouble,
You can't.
stirring up
Yeah,
trouble. So
yeah.
getting rid of one Jew in this position, that's fine. And you know that the Jews got rid of him because the next person they put in was a Catholic woman, and they promoted her to deputy prime minister to make it that much harder to criticize her. So it's just playing games.
Well,
So
you can't speak about the people in the U.S. Peter. You got
hmm.
that certain country not allowed to boycott, and them certain people you were just talking about now. You know.
Well, Ron Fan says Gemma was on Lauren Southern's Borderless documentary, so Southern must be a shill too. Yeah, Lauren Southern's a shill. I mean, I thought originally that Lauren Southern was just another dumb blonde, but Lauren Southern is actually Jewish, and she was she was brought into this whole situation to further the agenda. Basically, I didn't realize that she was an agent until I found out that she was Jewish. It's like, huh, okay. Laura Southern's Jewish, and she makes very little of being Jewish. She doesn't talk about that very much at all.
Well,
But
it's just surrounded by agents anyhow.
yeah, but her I think it's grandmother's side was Simonson. So they were her grandmother or great grandmother was Jewish, and escaped the Nazis back in the wartime. So it's Lauren Simonson Southern. So yeah, Lauren Southern. That was about 2 years ago that we all found out Lauren Southern was an agent. 2 years ago, 18 months ago, something else like that. I did a couple of videos about it at the time, and everyone went because there was a guy who went and found out that she was Jewish and what she'd been up to. Yeah, John Waters. Yeah, Ron says John Waters, though, he is the foremost anti-globalist spokesman in the country and a prominent MRA bringing attention to men's issues and the globalist agenda. So yeah, I know John Waters personally, Ron, and I've spoken to him a number of times just in emails, etc. And he has said a lot in the public, but when I put it to him, because he is well known, when I asked him, is he going to publish? I published all my Irish divorce court documents to prove the criminality of the courts. And John Waters has all those documents. And John Waters has all my correspondence, has access to all my correspondence with all members of the parliament, etc. When I asked him, is he going to talk about that? His answer was uh, no, because I would, that would be, he did, what did he say exactly? It said something like, I'd like to continue to talk about these issues, basically saying if I if he was being serious, he was saying that he wouldn't live very long if he started talking about what I was talking about, because for the reason that he's fairly well known in Ireland.
Yeah,
So
well, you know what? That does make sense. If you're in a
I
position
don't know.
like that,
Now
yeah.
yeah. Now he may have just been kidding, or he may have been serious, but the flavor of the conversation was for me to talk about what you're saying is way too dangerous for me, right?
Yeah.
Way too dangerous for his liking. I mean, another buddy of mine, just so you know, Ron, another buddy of mine in Ireland was thrown in jail 8 times in 2011, and there was no help for him, etc. But he was talking about the same issues I was talking about, and decided that he would work with me and help me. And they threw him in jail 8 times, despite the fact he was a government employee, right? And they would just turn up at his house and take him out and throw him in the jail just to prove that they're the boss of him. And also, Ron, just in case you don't know, I went over to Ireland in October 2010 to speak with Vince Byrne at uh, the internet radio station, and we had the guys from Tina Sura and all the senior guys there, and we met at Vince Byrne's house. So this is October 2010, and I put it to them to the assembled men. There was about a dozen there, and I said, "Look, the only way you're going to deal with your government is you've got to create new courts, the People's Courts of Ireland, and you've got to be prepared to run court cases and prosecute these criminals in your government. And if you're not prepared to do that, you're not going to make any headway. So, gentlemen, what is your feeling? Do you want to create the People's Courts of Ireland? Do you want to sit on the juries? And do you want to prosecute the criminals in your government?" And the conversation was had around the table, and the consensus was, no, we're not going to do that because we might get hurt. And I
Mhm.
said to them, absolutely, some of you are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You're Irish. You know the history of the occupation by the English, right? Now you're occupied by criminals amongst your own. Some of you will get hurt. And this one guy who decided to fight back, that was October 2010. Well, the first time they put him in jail was New Year's Eve. He was at a New Year's Eve party. They just came along on New Year's Eve 2011, picked him up, threw him in jail for 3 days. And he said, "Well, what for?" He said, "Well, you're causing us trouble in the government, so you're going to spend a couple of days in jail." He's like,
Uh-huh.
"Okay, not even an accusation. We're just going to grab you from your New Year's Eve party, toss you in jail for a couple of days."
There you go. That's how it works, isn't it?
So this went on all through 2011. Well, this one guy, just one guy, was willing to stand up and say, "No, I'm going to." He also volunteered to be the secretary for the People's Courts of Ireland. We issued letters in his name as a secretary to many members of Parliament, etc., etc., and they just hammered him all the next year. And everyone else went, "Oh, call him Fred. It's no real name. Oh, Fred's getting thrown in jail all the time. If we oppose the government, they'll come and throw us in jail too." They're like, "No shit, Sherlock. Of course they'll come and throw you in jail. Come and grab you
Yeah.
and throw you in jail a bit, right? Rough you up and etc. etc." That's the price of freedom, right? And
Uh-huh.
and all the other guys from the TNS radio were looking at that, going, "Oh no, I don't think I really want to have the cops turn up at my place at midnight and drag me out and throw me in the cells for a couple of days. That doesn't sound like too much fun."
Oh no, no.
That all that all happened in 2010, 2011 in Ireland. That all happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2010, there was a thing at Easter 2010 in the US called the Restore America Plan, and that was your best last chance for the US. And also in 2010, that was a good opportunity in Ireland to do this stuff. But you sit down. TNS Radio had 2,000 men subscribed on their website, and we couldn't get 12 to sit on a jury. And I flew over to have the conversation face to face with these men to say, "Are you going to do this or not?" And if the answer is no, fine, it's your country. But if the answer is no, down the track you're going to have to uh, tell your children why you said no to me, right? And so now it's 2019. pretty soon it'll be 10 years since those men sat at that table and said, no, we will not form juries because the government might hurt us. Okay, well, what are you going to tell your children now?
Cowards.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry, son, but I have this yellow streak from the crack of my you know what all at my back, and I was shaking. Can you tell?
yeah, yeah, these young boys coming through, the guys who are now in their early 20s, right? They were in their early teens 10 years ago. They're like 12, 13, 14 years old. They're now in their early 20s, and they have every right to say, hey, why didn't you help Pete with juries 10 years ago? Now look at our country. And Ireland, if you talk to people, Ireland has gone downhill a long way in the last 10 years. And if you take it over 20 years, I arrived in Ireland in 2001. Ireland today from 2001 is unrecognizable, unrecognizable. So, people, men were asked, they were told they were told what they had to do in order to secure the future of the children of their land, and they said no. Well, what are you going to do?
I like that, Peter. I love it when you're in two spots at once.
Sorry, two spots at
Well,
once.
yeah, I was watching your video just went up. I
Okay.
got notification on my side.
Okay. Yeah, I scheduled it earlier.
Right, and I was just looking at. I'm here with live here. Your video's going up
Yeah.
now, and I'm thinking, I love it when he's two spots at once. He's cool.
Yeah. So Ron, just talking to Ron fan 69. Yeah, I mean all this was done in 2000 through 2008, 2009. We worked through that, and 2010 we worked through the whole process of proposing courts, wrote the procedure manuals, all this sort of stuff, and put it to men in both Ireland and Australia. If you want to deal with criminals in government and you want to do it peacefully, then the one and only way to do that is through jury trials. And if you don't have jury trials, if you're not willing to have jury trials to do this peacefully, very next step, there's no intermediate. The next step is you pick up guns and you start shooting people.
That
That's
would be the actual real thing right there.
that's
Because you're
that's the
either
next step.
gonna. This is why I stood with Peter when he was trying for the jury thing, because only got two choices. You're gonna try to do it legally through a court system with jury trials, or you're gonna have to bear arms, and bloodshed will happen because you ain't stopping anything any other way. And as long
Yeah,
as people don't want to lift a finger to do anything, I don't know why you've all thrown in the towel. Is what you've done.
yeah. Basically, that 2008 to 2013 period, we had very good chance to settle this matter peacefully, and men said, "No, we're not going to sit on juries. We're not going to do
No.
it."
And now what do we got? We got all this corruption still going on. And matter of fact, there were even women talking about we need to do away with Father's Day. And then I did a video on Mother's Day, agreeing with them that we should do away with Father's Day and Mother's Day.
Yeah, the disintegration of social norms over the last 10 years has been astounding in the West, just astounding, going downhill very quickly, my opinion.
Yeah, it's basically internet has made of people too mentally weak. Well, yeah, but that's still not an excuse. All she got is laziness in the actual reading and being scared because
Yeah,
people are scared of consequences. They're scared of repercussions. People want to do unto others that they don't want done on themselves, but they don't want any responsibility. They don't want any repercussions. Okay, they just think they can do, and they don't understand that what they've done has allowed this to happen. Because I can't blame anybody but everybody. Because we could have stopped, and this society, our world would not be in the shape it's in at all if we didn't want it that way.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. I mean, if what we proposed, the Restore America plan was slightly different, but they're all similar in establishing juries and then putting people on trial in public open juries for their crimes and replacing them, and then holding new elections and having proper oversight over the politicians after the new elections. That was basically the plan in all the different countries, right? And
Yep.
what you had to do to make that happen was gather the evidence of crimes being committed such that you could prosecute politicians through fair and just jury trial processes, which is why, I mean, I say to people, the reason I got on a plane and flew from London to Sydney to get a 45-minute video inside a divorce court was to gather absolute irrefutable proof that the divorce courts were criminal in nature on video that nobody could deny, right?
Yes.
And that's why I did it. And some people watch that video and go, "Well, this must be a scam. This must be like actors or
Oh,
something."
I know. That was so
It's
fucking ridiculous
ridiculous.
because he goes and does what most people don't have the balls to do. Now, as I told him before, I says, if he would have attempted that in this country, he would have been in jail. But he would have went to jail for trying anyhow. Okay? But he went in and did what most people don't have the balls to do. Okay? And
Yeah.
then when he shows you what he done, you all gonna say, oh, it's fraudulent. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And just pull all this, yeah, at your ass. That's all you're doing because you're what, jealous? I think it's because you're jealous because he did something you're too cowardly to do.
Yeah, that's right. Men won't go into courts and video record it. I mean, one of the really interesting conversations, just for your viewers, was I went to the court 2 days earlier to give to serve documents on the two magistrates. I didn't know which magistrate was going to hear my case, so I created two copies of all documents, and I wanted to go serve these documents on these two magistrates. And the court registrar, a guy called Paul Lalarge, said, "No, you're not allowed to go walking around the building." And I said, "Paul, this is my building. This is public space. You don't get to tell me where I can walk around this building or not." And he's like, "Yeah, okay." So I showed him. He said, "Look, if you show me the documents and I'll read them, maybe I'll give them to the magistrates." I said, "Okay, well, let's go through them." So we went through them. And he said, "Okay, I will give these to the magistrates. You have my word on that, right? I will give each copy to each magistrate. You have my word on that." We shook hands on that, right? And then we're coming to the end of the conversation, and there's a metal detector in the front door, right? And so I said to him, "By the way, Paul, my next call, there's a gun shop just a couple hundred meters away, right? I'm going to this gun shop, and I'm going to buy myself a gun, and I'm going to bring this gun with me on Thursday. And what are you going to tell the man at the metal detector here?" And he's like, "Oh, Peter, that I'm not really sure that's a good idea." I said, "Yeah, I don't care whether you think it's a good idea. You know, I have the right to walk into that court on Thursday with a gun. You know that I have that right." He goes, "Yeah, I do." Says, "So what are you going to tell this man here?" Okay. And we're having this conversation. And he said, "Look, tell you what," and we're being very friendly about it, fairly serious but friendly. He said, "Tell you what, yes, if you want to bring a gun with you on Thursday, then please do so. But I'm just going to ask you, would you not do that? Just let's do this without a gun in the room on Thursday,
Yeah.
okay?" And I said, "Okay, well, since you asked politely and nicely, I won't bring a gun with me on Thursday. But if things are not satisfactory, you want to understand that the gun is the way that this is going to be settled, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I understand." He was ex-armed services. I said, "You want to understand that if we cannot solve this matter peacefully, we will solve this matter violently. And the gun will be the answer to solving this matter. I'm doing my best to solve this matter peacefully."
But Peter, that's one of the reasons. they're so determined to try to come up with BS to
Yeah.
de-arm people over here in this country.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because what Peter just said, because they're not going to want the courts over here already bought and sold out. Total corruption. So unless you create a brand new court with a brand new everything, you're already to the point of the only really option you got is to pull arms.
Yeah. 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 There's two answers: new courts or guns. They're your two answers.
And
And
there is no other way.
in 10 years, we haven't been able to persuade men to sit on juries. So the answer is now going to be guns.
Well,
And
I guess they like the choice of getting shot and killed over sitting on a jury, Peter.
yeah, perhaps. I mean, I now personally think the time for new juries may have passed. It may not even be possible to solve these matters peacefully with new juries because it's pretty obvious that the police and the armed services have sided with the government for their paycheck. That's pretty
Well,
obvious.
that's it too. That's why I said we're surrounded with ignorance because they don't realize that we could create a new tool, a new money, okay,
Yeah,
and stop using theirs to stop this. No, they want to continue to allow their tool, the money, and do anything for that money at all costs. We don't care who we commit treason onto, who we walk on, who we shit on, or the consequences of our actions. So as long as we're getting some of that worthless man-made crap called money that you couldn't live on anyhow because you know what real money is? It's not gold, it's not silver, it's not that piece of paper you got in your wallet. It's the shelter over your head, food and water. Because without them things, you cease to exist. You die.
yeah. You got to have your food, water, shelter, and clothing.
Exactly. See, so your priorities are totally messed up to begin with. But hey, I'm glad Peter was here today. I really am. Well, we've been up here for a little over 2 hours now, Peter.
Yep,
So you
yep.
know,
That's a good chat. It's always great having a chat with you, Bill.
I love having a chat with Peter. Don't get to do it too often. This topics that we talked about today, I can indulge in all of them with Peter because I'm talking with somebody like myself. He's not some young person. He's got a compass of an older person like myself. He may not be quite as young as me.
Well, I'm not far behind. I'm not far behind.
That's right. Uh,
I'm not far
I
behind.
like to flip that and say as young as me. Okay, but he's not far behind. But we do got one person in the chat that I see is here. That's the 21-year-old I talked about that I had on. He is in the chat, and that's HJTV.
Okay, I'll go over and have a look at his channel after
He's
this.
pretty intelligent. I like him. Okay. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and shut the live stream off just because we're over 2 hours and I've enjoyed it. And
Okay. So
we'll
say
go
I'll
from
say
there.
goodbye to the audience. See you later, fellas, and we'll
Okay.
continue on.
Yes.